Ninjago Monstrosity just released as of the time I'm recording this, so with it being the most recent Ninjago thing, it's my duty as a YouTuber to milk it until it fades into irrelevance, so I thought I'd make a quick video with my thoughts on it, and yeah, it was alright I guess. I do not by any means think that this set of shorts is bad. It tells a neat enough story about Kai after the merge, and it has some cool moments here and there, so don't get me wrong, Monstrosity was not bad, but it also really wasn't perfect by any means. To start off, the animation and art style is absolutely gorgeous. It's some of the best visuals in the entire Ninjago franchise, and I cannot praise it enough. The monochromatic look really sells Kai's horrible mental state and makes so many of the monsters look insanely creepy, and these guys have some amazing designs. Whoever made these things needs a raise because that short sequence we got of all the monsters is genuinely really unsettling. Though it would have been nice to see these guys in action a bit more, because as is, it kind of feels like they're played up for hype moments and aura, which is probably my biggest issue with this set of shorts. It seems like the writers had some really solid ideas for what they wanted this to be, and in concept it's absolutely fantastic, but it's really hampered down by the insanely short runtime of this thing, only clocking in at 15 minutes. Realistically, these shorts should have been longer, or we should have gotten more, because only 3 is really limiting, and as a whole it just feels really disjointed. I don't know why they made 3 shorts and then they just ended up dumping the entire thing onto YouTube on a random Sunday morning, because it meant that what we ended up getting was a really awkward 15-minute special with very little cohesion in between the parts, and it just feels like we jump from thing to thing to thing with nothing actually to hold it all together, meaning that we don't get a proper feel for the land of monsters, meaning it has quite poor world building. It's a massive shame because in theory this place has a ton of potential, but on the topic of Land of Monsters, this place being separate from Madness is such a terrible choice. Dragon's Rising really neutered the realm of madness in Season 1, and while the administration is really cool, everything outside of it is just maddeningly boring, and it's such a shame, especially since it's supposed to be a nightmarish monster-filled realm. Monstrosity has the chance to fix this problem by making the Land of Monsters be a subsection in the realm of madness, but they just didn't for some reason. It's a really baffling move considering it just fills the role Madness should have, and it's a big waste of a realm slot if I'm being honest. It just makes Land of Monsters and Realm of Madness feel really redundant with each other, so I just don't know why they did this. Surely there was a better way to do this, but oh well. Land of Monsters aside, this series was hyped up as a deep dive into Kai's mental health, and supposedly explores what his greatest fear is, teased by the Phantasm Cave, and Kai was also just fine here. He wasn't out of character or anything, but his struggles here didn't feel like anything Kai specific, and I think you could pretty easily have replaced him with Lloyd or Colt, or hell, even a nameless hero character, and not much would actually change. He has some good moments and it definitely does work well enough for him, but I honestly think replacing Kai with a nameless warrior who landed in the Land of Monsters after the merge would have been far more interesting. I'm saying this because we as the viewer know that Kai is going to be okay, and we know that he just goes back to his old self relatively unaffected in Dragon's Rising. If they had some nameless hero, I think it would have done a lot to up the stakes of these shorts, and it would have added a lot to the fear factor we're supposed to feel because we don't know if this guy is going to be okay. That aside, Kai was well written here, and his overall story about enduring and keeping your own hope alive is decently well done. The mech and dragon are also in these shorts, and unfortunately I thought they were a bit undercooked. The mech wanting to find a purpose in its existence was pretty alright overall, but the runtime once again really hurts it, because I just can't bring myself to be invested in it when all we see is 7 minutes of this thing before it gets completely destroyed, which isn't helped by the fact that they make Kai a complete and utter idiot to get to his death. I get that it was some mystical beast pulling Kai into the lake, but you'd think after 15 years of doing this he would have fought back a little bit more against its pull. On the whole, the mech is a fine character, but the short runtime really hurts it, and I just didn't get invested enough in it as a character to care about his death. I did think the dragon character was pretty weak. It kinda just exists to affirm Kai's morals as a person, and does hammer in the idea of not losing yourself to bad situations nicely, but she just doesn't do anything, a bit like her Lego set honestly, and just appears out of the blue in the final short for some reason. I don't know why they put it here, and I don't think it added anything to the story they were trying to tell, so it just felt very random and out of place. I admit that I have probably been a bit harsh on these shorts, and these are just initial impressions, but the ending of these shorts is something that absolutely sucks and you cannot change my mind about it. You can either take the ending as just Kai leaving the Land of Monsters or him continuing forward to escape, but either way it does not feel like a satisfying conclusion in any way. We still don't know how the hell he came across the bounty or where it ended up after the merge, so it just feels very awkwardly tacked on as a prequel to Dragon's Rising, which is such a shame. I can't lie, it is getting a bit hard to care about Ninjago's extended universe when it just isn't impactful in any way. This is an issue that Shatterspin has too, because its lore just completely contradicts what's in the show, and the only answers it gives us is why the mallet wasn't in the Shadow Dojo, but in Ninjago instead, which is completely meaningless because of a merge, because it just could have ended up there anyway, so it doesn't do anything to explain anything. Monstrosity also suffers from this because Kai just isn't changed as a character after this. It never becomes relevant when Kai's in the nether space, and it never becomes relevant when the ninja are in seemingly hopeless situations, so it's really hard to be invested in Kai's struggle here. I think they should have had Kai be changed after these events, and they could have easily done this by having Kai just seem a bit different in Dragon's Rising, which you could easily explain by his time being alone having affected him, and then use these shorts as a deeper dive into why. My biggest concern is that they're now going to hamp this trauma into Kai's character in Dragon's Rising, which would really suck because Kai's trajectory has been really good so far, and I wouldn't want them to melodramatically give him a trauma arc with these shorts having just been released. I have faith they won't do it, but nonetheless, the thought of it does worry me a bit. I want to reiterate this before I end this video, but I do not hate these shorts. I know I've just spent a bunch of time bashing them, but these are not bad. They are fine shorts, but they do have a lot of issues with them. And if you did enjoy them, I'm glad you did. Don't let me criticizing these serve as a detriment to your own enjoyment of them. My hope is that these shorts do well and we get more like it in the future, because seeing Ninjago go to new places and experiment with new stuff is very cool, and I do want to see it be creative with its world and characters. So hopefully whatever fun creative experimental thing they come out with next fixes the issues I have with Monstrosity. If you do want to discuss these shorts with other Ninjago fans, there's a link to my Discord server in the description of this video. So with that being said, I'm going to go back to playing Tears of the Kingdom, and I will see you all soon. Goodbye.
When you feel tight, look at yourself. Inside your heart, you will find a special place to unwind. When you feel right, look at yourself. Inside your mind, you see, come make it true.